Hey guys, welcome to Real Estate Reality Tampa. It's Jim and Chris, as always. Today, we got some cool things. Chris gets to talk about the fun stuff. I get to talk about the boring stuff, all right? Chris gets to talk about the very cool rate drop, which just happened yesterday. The Fed trying to help us sell some houses, which is nice of them. And I'm going to talk about the real estate market in this area, which is, let's be honest, not really fun. Okay, so you're gonna have to be educated though, because if you're thinking about buying or selling, you got to know this stuff. Okay, so as always, before we do anything, if you find this video helps you with anything or you want to see more, please like and subscribe. It helps me get more juice with YouTube so I can push this out to more people. So appreciate that. And my contact info is below. Jim Steele at remax.net, 727-656-7694. As always, coming to you from Remax Champions. Chris Deptula from Motto Mortgage, christopher.deptula@mottomortgage.com. And his number is 727. No, that's my number, 727.
I was going to say, that's not mine.
656-7694. I don't know why I have it twice. Where's yours? There's yours. Chris's number, 727-457-1541. Okay, so let's talk about real estate first, and then we'll get into the mortgage and the rate world. All right, so here's the story. Party's over, okay? So the last one out, turn off the lights because the party is over. There is no more 50% appreciation a year. There is no more 50 million offers on one house, and they're going to pay 75% above market value. That is done. So if you bought a house, I don't know, last year, and you paid $350 for it, and you want $400 for it, like a dude I talked to just today, that ain't gonna happen. Okay, that's not real. You might get $352 for it. Okay, if you're lucky. And even then, you got closing costs and stuff, and I doubt that you're gonna make any money. So that's really a bad strategy. So here's the thing, you guys. The market is slow. We've got an election coming up in 49 days. Okay, so we got that coming for us. People are scared, and that's why the Fed cut the rates yesterday. They're trying to boost things. They're trying to make things move faster. So if you're selling and your house is sitting, don't panic. That is normal. It is slow right now. The problem is we got so spoiled for the last 3+ years of stuff selling in hours, not just days, hours, that now that stuff's sitting for 30, 45, 60 days, which used to be the norm, okay, in a normal market, we didn't even blink an eye. I wouldn't even worry about it until after 60 days, so because it just is how long it took. Now it's getting back to that. So it's going to take longer. The house is going to sit, and buyers are getting more educated, so you're not going to get silly numbers. So you got to price it right, which is why you need a professional, I don't know, like me. So see, I know how to price a house. I know how to tell you this is what it's going to sell for. This is what it's not going to sell for, okay? So let's not put it there because it's not going to sell there and you're just going to waste your time, all right? So if you listen to the professional, things go your way, all right? So my advice right now is ride it out. We got to ride this market out, see what's going to happen. A lot will change after the election, I'm sure, one way or the other. So, if you're thinking about buying or selling, like I said, my contact info is on the screen. Reach out. I've been in this area for 20 years now, so I think I know it by now. And, we can help you with whatever you need. So with that, I'm now going to turn it over to Chris because Chris got some really good news for you, and I don't want to ruin it. So, Chris, what happened yesterday?
Well, the Fed finally cut interest rates. They've actually,
it was like 4 years, right? They hadn't cut rates in like 4 years.
It's been 4 years since they, it's the first rate cut in 4 years. Either it was left untouched forever, or it's only been increasing, over this period, and they finally cut. And the reason why the Fed finally cut interest rates, and when we say interest rates, we don't mean mortgage rates. We mean the federal, interest rate, and that is.
Explain that. Get into that a little bit. What rate did they cut? What is it? Tell them what that is.
There is actually, the U.S. government, the federal banks, that are here in the United States, they supply money to the banks, like your local bank. You might be banking with, Suncoast Credit Union, or you might be banking with Bank of America or Truist or, Grow Financial or whatever. So the banks don't just get money from thin air. They get money loaned to them from the Fed. And, back in COVID, it was literally where the Fed was charging zero interest. Like basically the federal government was giving money to the banks so they could loan, money out, whether it was an auto loan or a credit card or a personal loan or whatever it might be, or a mortgage loan. And they could go ahead and get that money basically for no charge. There was no interest that they were paying on that money. And then what happened was the Fed kept raising interest rates over the last year or two till it got to the point that it did, where it was sitting, between 4 3/4 and 5.5. And that means that the Fed was charging these interest rates to the banks. And of course, the bank then had to increase what they were charging, saying to you, the consumer. And so what the rate that they cut actually was the Fed funds rate, which is the rate the federal government charges to the banks, for their money. And so what that does is it isn't like a direct correlation, with mortgage rates, but it does help, because basically if banks and lenders and different companies have to pay less for the money that they're using, then hopefully they should pass that savings on to us.
So what does this mean for the mortgage rates? Because, that's what our listeners care about. Tell me how this is going to impact it, if any, because one of the things that you and I talked about, recently was that they had already anticipated this cut. Now, to my knowledge, they anticipated 0.25% cut. This was a half. So I don't know if that's going to make any more difference, but we were getting FHA rates in the low fives, right?
No, absolutely. Interest rates, they peaked in February of this year. They kind of reached their peak, and ever since then, they've been slowly coming down. But we've seen in the last 2 months, a really good rapid decrease. Honestly, in the last 2 or 3 months, they've literally come down 3/4 of a point. And they're almost 1.5 points off their peaks from February. So right now, I'm doing loans in the low fives, for FHA, with people with good credit scores, and for conventional, I'd say it's low to mid sixes. It's about 1 point higher for conventional interest rates, but they're dramatically lower than what they were. I mean, we had conventional loan rates at some point that were 7 3/4, almost 8%, and we had FHA that were in the low sevens. So, I mean, they've really come down quite a bit. And the reason why they have is because they've been anticipating kind of this happening, that the Fed was going to start cutting rates. And they thought it was going to be at least 1/4 point, maybe a 0.5 point. And it ended up being a 0.5 point. So we're seeing a little bit of a bounce today as well. And by a bounce, I mean, it's really more like a drop, I guess I should say. But the rates have come down a little bit even more, the mortgage rates kind of since, they did the 0.5 point drop. But now it's just honestly, it's a great time to buy. I mean, just like you said earlier, I mean, you have all these people that the inventory is increasing.
I don't know why that was on the screen.
And
I just popped the thing up by mistake. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. But I mean, the inventory is out there. I mean, there's a lot of inventory out there. People are selling their homes. And I mean, to buy right now, I mean, interest rates are so much lower than what they were. And you have a lot of motivated sellers, people that their house has been sitting on the market for 2 months, 3 months, and they're willing to make some deals. If they're asking a certain price, as a buyer, I mean, not only can you get a great interest rate right now, but you can get some, some concessions, from the seller. I'm seeing a lot of my loans, are coming through or getting 2%, 3%, 4%.
All of my listings right now are paying concessions.
Yeah. So. I mean, people are willing to go ahead and pay the concessions. And I mean, that helps, really limit how much you have to come out of pocket when you buy your home. If you can get somebody to basically pay your closing costs, for you, and you're only having to come up with, anywhere from 3 to 5%, as a down payment, that gets you into a house much easier, than it was in the past. So the rates
do you see them going down in the 4s for FHA, maybe high 4s after this?
I think at some point, I really think we're going to see rates. I think you're going to see FHA rates probably in the very low 4s at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen. And conventional rates will definitely be in the 5s at some point. Okay. It's going to be in the mid 5s. The question becomes how fast do rates fall? That's going to be the tricky part about it. Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? But I think that they're definitely going to keep coming down. But here's the problem, though, for people that are watching this and they're saying to themselves, well, why should I buy a home right now, right? If I'll just wait for rates to come down. Well, if you do, you have a lot of people sitting on the sideline right now that are renting homes, renting apartments, and they've been waiting for this. They've been waiting for rates to come down, and they renewed their leases because they were waiting, and their lease might be up in 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever. But there's going to be a lot of people that now that rates have come down are not going to renew their lease, and they're going to want to buy. And the question becomes, okay, do I want to go ahead and, get a decent interest rate right now and get a great concession from a seller when I buy a home? Or do I wait 6 months, get like a little lower interest rate, but now I'm really competing, against other buyers for that home?
Yeah, see which thing makes the most sense for their situation.
Right. I mean, for me, you marry the home and you date the rate, and it's like if you find a home that you like right now and you have the ability to buy, hey, a year and a half, you can always refi, into a lower rate, but at least you're not overpaying for homes, right now. You can really get some good deals out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So tell people that are listening to this and watching this how they can get a hold of you. They want to get pre-approved for one of these super low interest rate things. What do we do?
Well, I mean, you can hit me up at the email that you've got right there on the screen. That's my website right there. Thank you. And there's actually a link right on that website that you can apply online. And I can actually do a soft credit pull versus a hard pull, if you want to just kind of see if it makes sense for you. And I actually do a lot of second opinions. A lot of people that are pre-approved, maybe with an online lender, or a local bank, and they just want a second opinion. Like, why wouldn't you want a second opinion? Like, when you go for your car loan, do you just like go with the first person that makes you an offer on an interest rate, for a car loan? Usually people shop car loans, because they want to get the best interest rate. It's a large purchase, right? Well, a home is a heck of a lot bigger purchase than your car is. So if you're not getting at least 2 or 3 opinions on, interest rates and on your mortgage, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I think you really need to look out there, really find a great lender that's going to give you a great rate. And it's also going to be someone you want to work with in the future, whether it's a refi or you sell your home and you need to buy another one kind of thing. But I would definitely always talk to at least 2 or 3 people when you're getting ready to buy.
All right, brother. Well, that is some great stuff, great information. I have all your contact info up on the screen. One more time, Christopher.Deptula@mottomortgage.com. You can go to his website, mottochrist.com, and do an application, or you can just call him. There's his phone number on the screen. Call him and ask questions. For me, Jim Steele at Remax.net. If you're thinking about buying or selling, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with you about it, see what what your goals are and what we can do to help you meet them. And my number is 656-7694, area code 727. And again, this is Jim Steele and Chris Deptula, Real Estate Reality, signing off. Have a great one. We'll see you next month.
Have a good one.